Many of us fantasize about starting our own business someday, don't we? But we usually hit a wall and ask ourselves a bunch of questions that revolve around how to move further in the journey and make our startup dream a reality. If you are one among the aspiring bunch, we got you. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Anagha. I welcome you to this masterclass, Startup 101, Bootstrapping Your Way Up. Here, we'll learn everything we need to know about how to launch and sustain a startup. But before jumping in, we would first like to introduce Tether. Who are we? In a nutshell, we are fintech enthusiasts, but there's more. Tether was conceived by like-minded individuals with backgrounds in the financial services ecosystem. In addition to being a converging point for all things fintech, Tether is a space to ask, learn, and grow. The community also functions as an open forum where participants can reach out to industry experts, learn about products, and get the latest industry news and insights. Join the community. Whether you are a fintech startup looking for investments or a fintech enthusiast wanting to keep up with the latest in fintech, Tether is a place to be. Presenting to all of you a sneak peek of Tether through a video.
The strength of the wolf is the strength of the pack. The strength of the pack is the strength of the wolf. Since our founding, M2P has wanted to give back to the community we grew from, which led to the birth of Tether. Tether is a community for like-minded people from across the globe. This includes startup founders, fintech professionals, students, and enthusiasts. Tether, with thousands of members like you, will act as a catalyst in the growth of the fintech industry. Tether also acts as an open forum where participants can reach out to industry experts, learn, and grow. You can achieve mentorship from industry leaders, mentorship for funding, an opportunity to network with peers, and access to a world of events apart from a host of services. Join your peers today. Grow together, tether together.
That was a quick glimpse of Tether for all of you. Log on to www.tether.community to become a member. The link will be available to you in the chat section of the screen, so make sure you click on it. Every startup journey begins with an idea that eventually becomes a reality. This is the basic definition that we all know. But what goes behind this mammoth of a journey? How does an entrepreneur kickstart their vision with the resources that they have at hand? To throw some light on launching a bootstrap startup and sustaining it, let's welcome our speaker, Mr. Anik Jain. Anik is a seasoned pro when it comes to building and simplifying businesses. His 21 years of industry experience working across organizations such as Simbo, Marsh, Mahindra Insurance Brokers, Reliance Life, and ICICI Lombard is a savior for budding startups right from their ideation phase. His new venture, Funngro, enables teens to kickstart their journey by working with real companies while learning and earning along the process. In addition to development strategy, he is versed in leading organizational transformation, handling P&L, leading sales teams, and managing various departments. Hearty welcome to you, Mr. Anik Jain.
Thank you, Anagha.
Audience, any questions you might have for the speaker, please share them in the Q&A section, which you can find at the bottom of your screen or at the right. Small Q&A session after Anik's presentation. So on that note, let us flag off the masterclass. This is Startup 101, Bootstrapping Your Way Up with Mr. Anik Jain. Over to you, Anik.
All right. Thank you very much, Anagha. Thank you. And let me know if the screen becomes visible to everybody.
It's visible right now. Like we can see your just the screen itself. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So before I go deep explaining as to what my thoughts on this area are, just a quick one on what I'm assuming you all know what bootstrapping stands for and where does this word come from. Okay. Bootstrapping actually comes from boot. If you see something at the bottom of your boot, it is how you pull up your shoes and bring them on. Okay. And that's what all of us as founders end up doing in our life. We end up trying to put on those shoes every day by pulling them up as we possibly can. Okay. I go Before I go far deeper, I always like to answer this question for myself whenever I'm attending this seminar in simple terms. Why should I listen to this guy? Okay. There are 200,000 people giving me knowledge and gyan on different areas. Why should I listen? What are the credentials of the person? Okay. I don't know of that, but I'll give you a quick sense of what I have done in my last two structures that I have built for ourselves. This is Simbo and Funngro. And there are very specific reason why I spend time on those two areas. These are two companies where I have been a founder of the business, and two very, very different structures. Okay. One, and I'll give a quick story on Simbo first and the story on Funngro on post that. So while I'll not bother you with the businesses that we were in, I'll give you the history of the business. Before we started the business and before we did 1 rupee of revenue or got one customer, we actually raised fund in that business, and that fundraise was upwards of $3 million. The second fundraise in that business was a $10 million, and then the third one is a much bigger one, as you will hear very soon. Okay. That's the first journey, and there's a specific reason why I come to that, because that was a very well-funded startup at a very early stage in life. That helped us a lot and that hurt us a lot. Okay. So I'll go and explain as to what has happened in that structure. Funngro is the second startup that I'm building, and that startup is completely bootstrapped. And just to give a sense, at this point in time, we have 200,000 customers, and we have not raised 1 rupee of external capital at this point in time. We are completely bootstrapped and running it as if we do not have money. Okay. And we run that business very clearly that fashion. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we don't have this option of choosing to be bootstrapped or choosing to be funded. Okay. Not every idea gets funded on a pitch deck. And in today's day and age, not every idea easily gets funded on a pitch deck. A lot of time, we as founders need to show business viability, business scale, and the questions keep changing. Okay. Whether it is scale, whether it is revenue, it is customers, whether it is profit, that question from the investors will keep changing every day. Okay. But what we should understand, if we are not, whether there's a reason why we should choose to be bootstrapped. Okay, and I'm going to spend next 15-20 minutes, half an hour, in saying as to why choose to be bootstrapped if you choose that fashion, and why not choose to be doing that. If you choose to bootstrap, then what are the benefits of doing that, and then what should you do in a bootstrapped organization? Again, these are all learnings for us that we have accumulated. And again, I'm sure your learnings would be different, and very happy to connect separately as well and see and learn from you. Okay. So why bootstrapped? Okay. And again, I start with this idea saying I've run a company which has been very, very well funded, what I used to call as an Rolls Royce of a startup. And I'm right now running what can potentially be can of a Tata Nano of a startup. Okay. So I'm running both in different structures. Okay. And both have very, very different learnings, very, very different strengths that go along with that. So I'll spend some time on why bootstrap. Okay. So I know some of you may have capital available on the table at this point in time, and you may want to bring that capital in, but should you take it, and at what stage you take it is a decision for you to take at some stage. Okay. The biggest benefit that I have seen of running a bootstrapped organization is that it brings you to frugal thinking. Unfortunately, that does not happen when you are a very well-funded startup. When you are a very well-funded startup, you don't think frugally. Okay, you are saying that if I want to solve a problem, I'll throw money behind the problem. Very rarely do problems get solved only with money. The problem will be solved because of your intellect, your idea, your implementation. Money helps, when money never hurts, but money is not going to be the primary reason to solve the problem. So if you do not have money, you are forced that much harder to think of alternates and better alternates which are going to be scalable in the long term. The second thing that happened is, because you are limited on and constrained on resources, you will have to prioritize. You don't have an option but to prioritize. Very well funded startup in early stage end up making a mistake of doing 5 things at the same time. Solving one problem is very, very difficult. Solving 5 is impossible. So if you are a founder and you are trying to build a company, I'm assuming you are trying to do something that has never been done before. Never been done before, definitely not done by too many people. If that is what is happening, if that problem is not solved till date, don't try to solve 5 at the same time. And if you do not have resources, you will not have an option but to take a decision. I'm going to solve only the primary problem of my business. So this is very important. The third thing that happens is it brings urgency to business. If you have, for example, at this point in time, you have enough capital to run you for 24 months, you will sit back, not push yourself that much harder. Okay. And I've run both companies, not that we didn't work hard in the previous one, but you just do that much more when your resources are limited. So it helps a lot if your resources are little limited in this. I'll come to retain control a little later, but what happens at this point in time, if you are not very well funded, you try to get money from the customer. Okay. And when you try to get money from the customer, that A is the cheapest investment, but that is your biggest proof saying that your business actually exists. If your customer is going to pay for what you are trying to build, rather than the investor paying for it, it actually is a proof saying that the business exists. And again, it's very, very important to understand that you retain control of the business. So you do not end up diluting too soon, and retain control. And the only thing that you have at this point in time, which is of value, is equity. So you do not end up diluting too much, and hence Bootstrap is a good way to go by. At the same time, Bootstrap is a very bad idea as well. Okay. It's a bad idea depending on the life stage that you are in and the support structures that you have around you. Okay. And I always say this, okay, it takes a village to bring up a child is a old saying, but it takes more than a village to bring up a startup. Bringing up a startup is all about your family, your spouse, your parents, if you're my age, your kids. Okay. So everybody, okay, everybody around you has to chip in and help out, at least emotionally. Okay. And your responsibilities are going to be very different from my responsibilities. So see that before you take a decision of bootstrapping a company. While time period or urgency is good for a startup, time period and urgency can also have a flip side of it. If you're trying to find quick fixes, it can create a problem at some stage in time. Okay. But it's a good problem, in my opinion, to take still a call in the favor of Bootstrap rather than taking it away from it. Very, very important is saying that it's a lonely business. If you are a founder and you are a single founder, I hope you find a solution to that. I will spend some time as we go forward on that. It's a very, very lonely business. If you end up having some funds helping you or some ecosystem helping you, which is putting money in this, it helps you build businesses. Okay. And they bring their own support structures with you, right? And the last one, in my opinion, is key, saying that a founder will always go through a situation where you will think, am I the only one who believes this idea exists, or is there somebody else who also believes this? Okay. If somebody is able to put money on the table, it's a validation that at least somebody else believes it. Okay. Whether they are right or wrong is a different matter, but at least somebody else believes in that idea as well. Okay. So that validation actually helps what you are trying to do. More often than not, this is not a question that you're going to answer. Should I bootstrap is rarely a question that you answer. Should I bootstrap is more often than not is that I do not have an alternate but to bootstrap. But why I wanted to spend the first few minutes is some of us would have an option of saying that I'll raise fund very early versus raise fund a little later. And hence I wanted to put together as to what are the values of bootstrapping. Now, how do you bootstrap? Okay. Now, how do you bootstrap? In my opinion, the first and the foremost thing is find a co-founder. Okay. I know their point of view is saying single founder companies have done well, and I agree with that. I have had a good luck of having really great founder in both my co-founders in both my companies, and that helps. Okay. And that helps not only because they come up with better ideas or they come up with better execution, which is all correct, but still it in my opinion, the biggest help that they happen is saying that you have a shoulder to cry on, and you will need that shoulder. Okay. There would come times in the day, and it happens between morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay. Morning you will feel top of the world, evening you will feel that I want to cry, and in late in the night you again feel happy. Okay. In all that journey, you will require somebody who will pull you up when you are down. Okay. And you will require somebody that you go and cry with. Okay. And I used my co-founders, and if they were on this call, they'll tell you that I've gone and cried on their shoulder way too often. Okay. I know this is not something that people take it very easily, but saying that treat it like you're getting married. Okay. This is as important as that. Okay, it is as important. The biggest reason companies fail is not lack of cash, it's not lack of funding, it's not finding the customer, is you found a wrong co-founder, is the biggest reason companies fail. Okay, so please spend a lots and lots of time in finding the right kind of co-founder. uh, do not find a clone of yourself. Again, this is very prescriptive. Ideally, these kind of discussions should not be prescriptive. Do not find your clone. Okay, you are good enough and you'll be able to handle it yourself. Find somebody who has complementary skill. Okay, find somebody that you will fight with day in day out. Okay, find somebody who if you are good at business development, that person should be good at technology. If you are good at operation, that person should possibly be good at marketing. Okay, and so on and so forth. And even in style of operation. Okay, if you are a risk taker, find a risk avoider. Okay, you need to find complementary skills both on hard skills and on soft skill side. I can't emphasize enough as to how important that is. Okay, again, these are going to be your best friends, these are going to be your family as you spend the next few years building your company. This is something important. What happens? Okay, we end up saying that, okay, I have got a product market fit, let me hire a lot of people and build at scale. Okay, I learned it the difficult way. Do not hire too early. Do There are enough and more resources available, there are even and more consultant available, there are enough and more freelancers available who are going to work with you at this point in time and they solve the problem for you, because you will pivot. Every business will go through a situation where you will have to make a pivot at some stage or the other. Do not hire for specific hard skills. If you are hiring, please hire for soft skill. No, don't hire for hard skills. If people are not flexible, your initial hires can hurt you. So be very careful before you make a hiring decision. And do not build fixed cost as far as possible. Okay, try to build it through consultants, resources, partners, freelancers, whatever you find. Do not build those costs to yourself, because you will figure out in 3 months time that now you are spending all your time either reskilling your people or letting go of your people. Okay, and that's not the stage that you want to go through early in your life, right? At some stage that may happen, but don't try to avoid that situation, at least in the first year, 2 year of your life. Always focus on people who are going to give you delivery, not time. So whatever negotiations that you do with people, do your negotiations avoiding this idea of saying that come and give me 3 months of your time. Always negotiate saying that come and do the following delivery for me. These are difficult, but always go with that model saying that I want output, I do not need a time period. Okay, irrespective of what time they spend, it's irrelevant to us, as long as we don't get the desired outcome after that. Again, this is a plugin for Funngro. Funngro does something of this nature, which is where we connect companies and startups with teams who works on freelance basis. But let me move on away from there. Okay, I referred to this a little early in my presentation as well. Look for customer funding. Okay, now this is more relevant for B2B businesses, a little less relevant for B2C businesses, but it's important. Okay, look at if you can find customers who are going to fund your business early. Are they going to give you advances? Are they going to give you commitments of business, so that you know that your bills are being paid to some extent, at least through your customer billables, rather than being billed through investor money that you're getting in. Okay, it's a good proof point, but it's also saying that it helps you give enough and more breathing space to run a business. Okay, now also figure out in B2C businesses, and again, I know it's not been the most successful model in India as yet. Can you find some subscription models to be able to get money in advance? Okay, if you can, then nothing like it. Okay, it doesn't always work, which is understandable, but just please figure out if your business has a potential of getting something of that nature. The only thing that I want you to take away from this slide is, if you can, try and get the money from the customer rather than try and get your money from the investors. That customer money is that much more valuable than the investor money would ever be. Okay, and I'm sure even if an investor listens to this, they would also say the exact same thing, that we value companies who bring customer money first. Okay, so if you can potentially do that, then please try and get your customer to fund, customer to pay you advances. I'm a very strong believer, and this is how we have built our businesses always. Okay, both these companies that we have built with partners. Okay, and when I say partners, all kind of partners, okay? You are trying to solve something really large, okay? If you're trying to the only reason to become a founder is that you're trying to solve something really large which has not been solved by anybody, okay? So do not try to solve everything yourself, okay? At this point in time, and we are fairly early stage company, okay? We are only 2 lakh users. We are 2 years in our operations. We are fairly early in our life. We have not raised any funds at all. We are all run by our partnerships, okay? And again, just to give a sense of the kind of partnerships that we have done, okay? We have done partnerships to be able to get our customer acquisition on both sides, just customer acquisition on B2B customers that we require, customer acquisition that we require on the B2C sides. We provide some learning solutions. We don't build those. We've got partners helping those. We provide some financial services solutions. We don't build those. We partner those, because we understand that our core business is simple. Our core business is a marketplace connecting companies with teens. And that is the only thing that we spend our time, energy, effort, because even if you are 3 co-founders, all of your energy should go into solving that one problem only. Do not try and solve more than one problem. Let other people solve that problem for you. And second, find barter options, okay? Try and find if you can give something which is valuable to a partner, okay? If you are bootstrapping a company, you do not have money to be able to pay to anybody, okay? Which is fair enough, understandable, okay? Either do on a revenue share based partnership, or do a partnership where you give some value back to that partner instead of trying to pay anything for partnerships, okay? I'm assuming partnership. A bootstrapped company early in life cannot pay for partnerships. So see if you can find barter options, okay? If you have a technology skill set which can be utilized by somebody, or if you have a user base which can be utilized by somebody, and so on and so forth, find answers of that nature if you potentially can, to do your partnerships. But please do not undermine the value of partnerships. You will end up meeting some really smart. Again, we have been very lucky. We have got some really, really good people. And again, Tether community is built by M2P, okay? M2P happens to be a partner of ours, okay? So what we do is we outsource all our technology requirement, all our banking requirement is handled by a partner, and that partners helps us build businesses, right? And then I don't need to bother about one side of business because somebody qualified is handling it, right? Okay. I know I referred to this in the first slide itself, but this is something that I have learned from mistakes. At one point in time, we thought that we are like 5 fairly intelligent people in the company. So we potentially can solve 5 problems at the same time. Okay. The problem was that we were not humble enough. We were not humble enough to say that the one problem that we are trying to solve is so big that it requires all 5 of us, and none of us alone can solve that problem. So what you should try and do is, humility as a founder is very, very important, in my opinion, except saying that there are going to be opportunities every day when you meet everybody. It's like a pregnant woman, okay? When a pregnant woman is walking on the road, everybody will give her tips on how to take care of herself, how birthing will happen, how the post a childbirth care would be. Everybody will give knowledge, okay? Which is perfectly fine. You will keep getting lots and lots of ideas, which is perfectly fine. Your job is to listen to that idea and then prioritize when you pick up. Even if you find that very exciting, which is perfectly fine, prioritize the timing of when you are going to pick it up, okay? Not every idea is going to be something that you can implement. Some really smart ideas can actually derail your company. So please keep your central goal in mind as to what you are trying to achieve, and then focus on that. Number 4 is pretty controversial. Do not get every customer. Say no to customers. It's very, very difficult to do that. I have seen that in my life, wherever I have worked, and I've done 20 years of it, those customers who are the most painful add the least value to my P&L, okay? They really do nothing but just create pain for me, my team members, the whole ecosystem. I'm not trying to solve for them, okay? Which is perfectly fine. Even if I get 80% of my customer, I'll do fairly well in my life, okay? I do not require those customers who are just going to be pain. And be very careful, okay? A customer who really requires a solution, is trying to help you build that solution, please keep that customer. But a customer who's just being a pain to you, okay, let go of that customer. Say thank you very much, okay? Move on and don't worry about it, okay? Keep listening to ideas from people, which is very, very important. Keep filtering this idea, okay? And this is the only place where I will go away from English to Hindi. First, listen, okay? Listen to everybody, and then Suno sabki, karo man ki. Okay. So you will have 200,000 ideas coming to you every day. Very nice. Listen to it. Take a step back, evaluate, prioritize, sit down with your co-founder. If you do not have a co-founder, then build a set of consultants. Okay. So we started the company, we did not have a co-founding structure. So we got somebody to help us as consultants. Okay. And at times you can have too many consultants. Okay. So we ended up in that situation as well, which is perfectly fine. Okay. But you will have people to listen to, and then you take a step back and say, okay, fair enough, good idea, not for me today. Okay. Good idea, I can't implement it today. Good idea, not my skill set or my strength. Okay. Humility. Okay. I can't do it. Okay. I'll stop here for questions now.
Right. So today, actually, Anik has piqued our curiosity about ideas and working towards making them into a sustained reality. When one's curious, of course, one asks a lot of questions. Now's the time to take a few of them from both our live audience as well as from our community members on social media. So we've already got a few questions from the social media, and I think we've got quite a few questions from the live audience as well. So quick reminder to all of you who have joined in live, do feel free to ask your questions on the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen or at the right side. We will try to answer them in the time that we would have. So taking one question from the social media itself. Anik, you did mention about why a bootstrap startup itself, and so many founders would not have that privilege to say, okay, would I want to go for a funded or a bootstrap startup of sorts? So this is more of such a question itself. Which is better for a startup? Would you say a funded one or a bootstrapped, considering you've done both? So what would you say is better?
I would say the answer is going to be, I know this was not a straight answer. So at the end, I'll try to give a straight answer as well. But a little rounded answer to this is depends on your stage of your business, type of your business, and stage of your life. And let me explain all these three. Okay. Stage of your business, saying that if you are very early, you believe that you can survive with your own funds for 3 to 6 months time, do not raise funds. Okay. The sooner you raise fund, the more you dilute. So do not do that. Second is the type of business that you are in. If you're doing to do something which is going to be high R&D or highly capital intensive, then you don't have an option but to raise money. Okay. So you will have to raise money. Fair enough. Raise money. Okay. The third is stage of life. Okay. And you cannot ignore that stage of life. Okay. All of us have responsibilities of running a home. All of us have responsibilities of paying our bills. Please be clear that you are able to pay your bills without stress, because you don't want that stress forever, right? You want that stress on the behind, not continuing to be on the back of your mind. Otherwise, you will not deliver the best. So don't take unnecessary stress on your family P&L to build your business P&L. Okay, that's the roundabout answer. But in case you tick the following boxes, saying that A, your business is not capital intensive. B, you have enough money to run your family and business for 6 months time, do not raise funds. Okay. That's the straightforward answer. In case you can run it for at least 6 months time. Okay. Do not raise funds.
Right. I think that was like how you mentioned, a well-rounded answer. So in your presentation, the next thing that you mentioned was in terms of the hiring patterns in choosing a co-founder. So Ansh here, who's joined us live, is asking us how do we, what to consider when we have to hire, say, interns or consultants, or partnering also. What is it that we'll have to just think about or keep in mind?
Sure. And I'll put a caveat here. There is a conflict of interest, because we work in companies which I'm building a company which is enabling companies to be able to work with freelancers. Okay. So there's a conflict of interest there. So I just want to caveat that before I answer that question. So I'll explain. Okay. I am dead against the idea of intern for time. Okay. I have done internship at some point in time, and I whiled away my time there for a period of time. Okay. And that internship was 25 years back. Okay. But we did internship at some point in time, but whiled away time. Okay. I am dead against the idea of internship linked to time, but I am really, really prone to the idea of internship linked to delivery. So whenever you are dealing with an intern, please find people who are going to be monetized or certificate given or value given to them only because they delivered outcome to you, not because they delivered time to you. Be very careful of that idea. Second, on consultants, you should identify, again, in my opinion, very, very important to identify good set of consultant. Do not cross a number of 3 to 5 consultants at any point in time. This is our learning. We had quite a few consultants and didn't, not everybody helped. Okay. So I know that we had to start with a larger list and bring it down to a 3 to 5 consultant list. Identify domains where you are weak. Okay. And again, I'm honest in saying this. Okay. We were weak in the UX UI side. Okay. So we got a consultant who would help us on the UX UI specifically. We were weak on some areas when it comes to performance management or securities of from a technology standpoint. Okay. So we got consultants specifically for that area. We did not get consultant for areas that we understand. So I know how to do sales. I did not get a consultant for sales. Okay. We have a team member who knows how to build technology very well. So we don't get a consultant for that area. Okay. And so on and so forth.
Right. Thank you so much for that. So the next thing that you mentioned was the pros and cons or the challenges, and why go with a bootstrap or not go with a bootstrap. So actually, from social media also, we had a similar question about what are the pros and cons. And here, actually on live, we have a question. Kushagra Garg is asking specifically for college audience actually. So what about college students who are doing a bootstrap startup? Would bootstrap be okay at that point of time? So also a quick callback to the first question that we'd asked about, which is a better startup. So how would you want to answer this?
Yeah. And again, Kushagra, again, caveat, my college days are way behind me. Okay. So I'll still answer that significantly. College companies should be bootstrapped. Okay. Definitely bootstrapped unless you are a capital intensive business. Again, everybody's stage of life is very different. If your college life means, what it means for a lot of people, saying that you do not have financial responsibility of taking care of home, which I'm assuming would happen in a very significant number of cases, then bootstrap your company for sure. Okay. Do not raise early. Okay. The only reason for you to raise early is you're not able to get good quality consultants to help you. Okay. At times, fundraise helps you in getting good quality consultants. And for early stage companies being started by college graduates, you at times require senior people to help you out with experience. Okay. So that may be one of the reasons to raise money, or find incubators, accelerators. Be very careful who you get with, but identify incubators, accelerators. Do not dilute too much to them, but it's a good place to be in. Okay.
Now that we're speaking with respect to funding and also incubators, Rajesh Raghav here, who's joined us live, is asking us, what does a founder expect from an investor besides money? Right. So that's definitely the major thing. But besides money, what other things should one expect?
Lots and lot depends on what kind of business you are in. Okay. But expect a lot of things from investors. And again, I'm being careful saying this. Not all of us have 5 term sheets at one point in time to be able to make a choice of what investor. So first of all, be careful. You need money, then you need money. Okay. Don't worry about who that investor is. At times that helps. Okay. But if you have an alternate, then choose the following. Okay. Do not choose an investor who does not invest in the same area that you are in. Okay. Choose an investor who has an understanding of the space that you operate in. Second, choose an investor who's going to help you in your business. Okay. And that help can be in any fashion. Okay. That help can be something as simple as introduction to the right people, or something as complex as potentially working a business model with you and helping you identify the gap that you have. Okay. If your gap is a specific area, and then that fund can bring something of value in that gap area, please identify that. Again, my experience with investors has been very, very good. While we most investors have now built an ecosystem where they are able to get you access, where they are able to get you enough consultants to be able to help you. There are some which are just bringing money. Okay. So be very careful on that one only. The rest you should obviously choose the investor that you would want to work with.
Right. We're still on the investors front. Vishal Gupta is asking us, when we go to investors, is there a cap on minimum number of team members that are needed, or anything of that sort? Anything from your experience that you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're all kind of investors, right? So understand the ecosystem well enough. They're all kind of investors. The investors who are going to back a single person company, the investors who will not back even 100 people company. Okay. So there are all kind of investors available at this point in time, and there are enough and more options. Okay. So you can have something as simple as an angel network to going to a potentially raising from a PE fund. Okay. So all these structures are available to you, and you can pick up from whatever structure that you like. There is absolutely no definition as to how many members should you have. There is also, like, I'm just extending that question further. There is no definition as to what stage you are in. Okay. There are times when you have just an idea in your mind and you have put a deck, and then that will get funded. There are places where you're running a significantly profitable business and you still not get funded. Okay. So all of those will happen. Please do not end up overexposing yourself. Be careful as to what investors do you go to. Okay. So invest time in identifying what investors do you work with. Is a fairly important one. Okay.
Here's one question from social media that the community has asked us. What are the critical challenges faced by startups, specifically in the Indian market? Something that you see as challenges in the Indian market itself. What would you say are the critical challenges?
Okay. Honest answer, I'm not qualified to that to answer that. Okay. Why I'm not? Because both my startups, I have ran those companies in India. We had Singapore operation in my previous companies, but okay. So what happens? Okay. Understanding the dynamics of Indian regulatory system is very, very important when it comes to dealing, but I'm safely assuming that applies to most places outside India as well. Okay. So no, again, honestly speaking, I'm very, very bullish at this point in time on the way the startup ecosystem is. Okay. Look at this. Okay. When I graduated from my college 2001, okay, this not as many people were doing startup as they are doing today, right? There was no ecosystem of funding, there was no ecosystem of accelerators, there was no ecosystem of incubators, there was no ecosystem of angel networks, nothing, none of that existed. Okay. Today all of that is there. Okay. So it's a very, very good place to be in, and very, very important. Even the society respects startups now. Okay. There was a time when the startup was saying that tumhe kuch nahi mila isliye startup kar rahe ho. Okay. Thankfully now that's not the case, right? You are respected as a founder. Okay. So that's very important. So no, I do not believe there are any specific challenges to be starting in India now. Okay.
So looks like the society has also changed. On that note, since we're speaking about you're respected, here's a question about success or metrics by Sundar Raghavan, where Sundar asks, what does success mean to a startup? Or can you define success for a startup itself? Addition to that, Anand asks, what should be milestones essentially for analyzing the growth of the startup as well as a funded one? So in both these fronts, can you answer these? Yeah.
Sure, I'll take a shot at that. So you will have all kind of metrics being given by different people. Do not worry about the metrics given by the external environment. Only worry about the metrics given by your customer. Okay. If your customer is till yesterday was giving you $1 for a service and today is ready to give you $1.1, you are doing well. If your customer is coming back to you, you are doing well. If your cost of acquisition of customer is going down, you are doing well. Okay. So put as that as your matrix. If you finally are able to actually solve a problem for the customer, the rest will take care of itself. Okay. So I know you will hear all kind of metrics. Okay. You're going to hear, and again, when you see investors and you meet investors, you will get metrics that are going to be saying how many users do you have. And please understand, whatever you have, the question would be saying that, okay, what next? Okay. You will be asked for the next 3 things which you don't have. Okay. Which is perfectly fine, which is the right question to ask. Don't worry about it. Okay. The only matrix to worry about is your customer happy with what you are delivering, and is the customer ready to pay value for what you are delivering. Okay. That's the only matrix to follow. Okay. The rest of it will fall in place. Okay.
Makes sense. Here's a question about resources, actually. So what are the key resources to kickstart your entrepreneurial journey is a question that we've received.
No, okay. Friends, family, and yourself. Okay. Nothing else matters. Okay. Honestly, nothing else matters. Okay. You will fix everything else. Okay. If you do not have people, you will hire people. Okay. If you do not have funding, you will raise funding. Okay. If you do not initially have customers, it's perfectly fine. You will get customers. Okay. The only thing that you will not find is an ecosystem. Okay. If you are able to build an ecosystem around you, which helps you, okay, which pulls you up when you are down. That is the only thing that you require. I don't know if you required a philosophical answer to this or not, but this is a philosophical answer to it. Okay, saying that that is the only thing that you need. The second is your capability to be able to balance risk. Okay. Now, again, you will have to take risks, which is perfectly fine. Okay. But your capability to be able to balance risk. Okay. What is an acceptable risk is different story for each one of us. You should be able to happily accept as to what level of risk you are going to take. Okay. That's the second thing that potentially makes a difference. Okay.
Lakshmi here, who has joined us live, is asking, I'm a young entrepreneur. What will be the best list of advice for young entrepreneurs and startups? Can you enlighten us?
Honestly, I don't know that. Okay. Again, I know I've said this to too many questions by now. Okay. Okay. Look at this. Okay. First thing for you to figure out is there a real problem that you are solving? If that answer is a negative, then don't worry. Think about a new idea. Okay. If there is no real problem that you are solving, then don't do it. Okay. Second is that your passion to solve that is beyond saying that at some point in time, I'll take this company to an IPO. Okay. Very few companies end up with an IPO, and you will not end up with an IPO in a 3 year period, right? Will you be able to live with that 3 to 5 year period when you are not still making enough money out of it? Okay. So if you are passionate enough to solve that problem, then please get into it. Okay. Do not do it because everybody else is doing it. Okay. So again, it's very interesting. Okay. In the times that I was growing on, everybody was becoming an engineer and doctor. The times that the students of today are growing up, everybody is trying to become a startup founder. Okay. None of this is correct. Okay. It was not correct to become an engineer because everybody else is doing it. It's not good to become a founder because everybody else is becoming one. Okay. You become a founder only for one reason, saying that I am trying to solve a problem which I see that others are not working on. Okay.
So here's one question by the box story. So while you were presenting, you did mention about the customer money when and specifically for B2B. So box story is asking us what would be the best or right approach for bootstrapping for a B2C startup. So what would be your thoughts about it?
Yeah, no, see, understand, bootstrapping is a B2C startup, and I'm bootstrapping a B2C startup right now. Okay. Look at partners and resources. Okay. You look at as many partners as you can find out. Okay. And I know it's a time consuming thing. It's a painful thing, but okay. It is like rabbit hunting versus elephant hunting. Okay. Getting a partner is like elephant hunting. Okay. You go and get one big partner, it solves a lot of your problems. Okay. So on a B2C startup, use resources where you potentially can. Okay. Because B2C startups requires a lots of things to fall in place. Okay. And B2C startup requires that your branding is in place. You require that your technology is in place. Your B2C, because you have to scale, right? So B2C startup also requires your operations is in place. Okay. So all of that is needed. Try and outsource a lot of it. Okay. And outsource as much as you can through barter rather than paying money, because you do not have money, right? So you pay as much as you potentially get. Try to acquire customers not through expensive advertising models, because that doesn't work for a startup, right? Just to give a sense. Okay. We have acquired close to 2 lakh customers right now, and you'll have a happy shock when I tell you as to how much we have spent. Okay. We have spent 3 lakh rupees to acquire 2 lakh customers. Okay. So that is 1.5 rupees per customer is what we acquire. Again, we operate in a very different business. Not every business is going to operate like this. My previous business, you were acquiring at 1,500 rupees. Okay. So don't assume that one answer fits everybody. Okay. But try and see that you are able to identify a customer base that you are acquiring either through influencers, social media, or your or organic, or your customer referring you as a customer to somebody else. Okay. So try and do, if you can do something of that nature, bring in a lot of people that you will need who don't have a skill set with equity. Okay. And I know giving a equity to somebody who's going to help you build your business is a fair thing to do. Okay. Just to give a sense, we got some people, we got some brand partners, we got some consultants, we got some technology partners, we gave away equity. Okay. And which is perfectly fine. Link that equity to a time period of delivery, but it's perfectly fine to do that. Okay.
Makes
Do not
sense.
dilute too much. Okay. Do not dilute too much anywhere.
Right. With that footnote of do not dilute too much also. So here's one question, actually, again, got on the live Q&A. We've been speaking about, okay, when to start, while answering a previous question, Anik, you also mentioned about, don't, become a co-founder, or do not bootstrap a startup just because everybody's doing it, because that's not the right way to do it, because you'd want to solve a problem. So here's one question about, I have an idea, I do want to solve the problem, but I absolutely do not have money, but I really want to solve it. How can I do it? What would be your two thoughts about it?
Fair enough. Again, I can't answer unless I know specifically what this is. Again, I don't know, even then I would have the answer or not. But let me just try and give this to you. Okay. Decide how much money you require. Okay. Decide how much money you require, and you will find sources. Okay. There are enough grants available. There are enough angel investors available. You will get friends and family funds. Okay. So you will get money from there. Okay. So you will be able to raise. Just do not raise too much too soon. Okay. And do not dilute too much too soon. Okay. If you require, and take a decision, for me to run this company for 6 months time, I require X amount. Okay. Just work on that much amount, and do not raise anything beyond that. Okay. You will find enough. Again, there are government sources, there are incubation centers which are going to fund you small numbers, which are going to help. Okay. And again, find for other people where you can get those people without money. Okay. My only recommendation is, don't spend money as far as you potentially can avoid spending money. Not all problems are solved with money. Okay.
Makes sense. So since we're on the same topic of dilution and non-dilution, here's a question by Rajesh, who's asking us, does bootstrapping provides the flexibility of operations by non-dilution of equity?
I'm not too sure I understand this question.
So Rajesh is asking, specifically for flexibility of operations and one not actually diluting the equity, is bootstrapping a better choice of sorts?
For non-dilution, definitely. I don't know what it means by flexibility of operation by non-dilution of equity. Okay. So Rajesh, if you can clarify that, maybe we'll answer this again, and we'll come back to this question. I'm not too sure I understand this question. Okay.
Rajesh, please do let us know, if you'd want to explain that, and that would be lovely. So here's a question. So we've been speaking about generally startups till now. Now coming to a very specific one about a fintech startup, because our community is a fintech enthusiast community. So how do you bootstrap a fintech startup in an industry that lacks structured corporate innovation? Is the question basically?
Yeah. Okay, I don't worry about fintech industry. Is every startup is the same? Okay, fintech industry doesn't make any difference to me. Okay, in honestly speaking, all this is a way of. Okay, I'll find a polite way of saying this. Okay, there are some people sitting in investment community who have a day job to do, and they have been told to bucket all of us in a specific area. Okay, we are not to be bucketed in an area. Okay, what a lending company is trying to solve is not anywhere close to what a payments company is trying to solve. It's a very different place to be operating. Okay, a payment industry is potentially more closer to some other segments than to a fintech company. Okay, so please don't bother about this criteria saying that I'm a fintech company. How does it work? All structures exist for all of us. Okay, if a structure exists for a B2C company, it exists for a fintech company, because fintech, if you're trying to solve a B2C problem, then you're a B2C company. Okay, you are not a fintech alone. Okay, and every fintech company would have a marketplace somewhere, would have potentially a solution to be given on the B2C side, which is perfectly fine. Okay, you are not a fintech company. Okay, you are a lot of things put together. Worry about the solution that you are giving, worry about the kind of customer that you are. I like this segmentation more to be done with who I am reaching out to and what I am trying to solve, rather than how I am trying to solve it. Okay, how I trying is a very internal problem. Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Anik. So we're extremely happy for you taking the time to address the Tether community today. So on behalf of the community, M2P FinTech, and personally, I thank you for being part of today's webinar here. Any closing thoughts from you?
No, nothing. Thank you very much, Anaga. Really appreciate this. And again, I also appreciate this idea of this community being built up. this really helps a lot of us. Okay, it really helps everybody. Okay, people who are trying to build a company, or people who have done maybe a couple of startups themselves, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, we all get to learn from each other. So thankfully, a lot of these questions helped me learn, saying that there are places where I don't know the answer, so I'll find out. Okay, I'll ask somebody else who is more intelligent than me, and get those answers. So really appreciate this. Thank you very much, Anaga. Thank you, the community. Yeah.
Thank
you,
you,
guys. Thank you,
Anik.
everybody.
And audience, thank you so much for being such wonderful audience, of course. Hope you enjoyed being a part of today's webinar. This was Startup 101, Bootstrapping Your Way Up with Mr. Anik Jain. Do catch up on all the action at Tether community. That is www.tether.community. The link to join the community is on the chat box right now. And do not forget to log on to our website to join us as a member. And I'm your host, Anagha, signing off for today. Wishing you all a very, very happy Republic Day, of course, and a long weekend. It's a wrap. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys. Bye.